Coffee Talk is sponsored by Blazing Bagels. You'll be a hit when you stop on your way to work to get a dozen for the office. Located on the corner of North Commerce and Wise Roads in Commerce Township, Blazing Bagels features New York-style bagels and always fresh coffee. Stop by for one of their bagel sandwiches at lunch with a steaming cup of coffee, cappuccino, or hot chocolate. Thanks to Matt and the staff at Blazing Bagels for supporting Coffee Talk on HVS TV.
The counselors have a little bit of an announcement, and we're kind of very proud of ourselves. We are the first school in the state of Michigan to have our counseling program recognized by the American School Counseling Association. It's called the RAMP recognition. RAMP is the Recognized American School Counseling Association Model Program. And we received, about 2 months ago, received notice that we had achieved that goal. And now we're just continuing to work to improve our program, as we will at all times. Our counselors at Lakeland are divided by alphabet. The students then can stay with the same counselor for the 4 years that they're in high school. And that way we get to know the kids, we get to know their families, we understand what their interests may be, and in a lot of cases they'll make suggestions that maybe they haven't thought of. So we find that to be a real strength. Each of us has specific duties also that we have. My caseload of students are those students with last names A through E. I'm Lynn Burton. So, and it's perfectly okay. I'm the oldest counselor, so if your child doesn't remember my name, it's okay to say it's that lady who's the old one. Fine with me. I won't take it personally, I promise. I'm also in charge of dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is when students get to take a college class while they're in high school, and they actually get college credit, and that's available for juniors and seniors. I'm in charge of the Advanced Placement Program. I'm the coordinator for that program. So our students for AP, and that can start out in the 9th grade with the AP Human Geography class, will work with me. I'm in charge of the ELL, or English Language Learners Program, and coordinate services for students whose families speak a second language primarily in the home. And I'm also the liaison for our Department of Special Education. We're just going to go around and just kind of talk a little bit about ourselves, our alphabet, part of the alphabet we deal with, and then our special duties, and then we're going to go on with some other activities. So the next person here is Mrs. Tamara DiLorenzo.
Thank you, Mrs. Burton. As Mrs. Burton mentioned, we are divided up by alphabet, and I am the counselor for students with last names F through K. I'm also the OSTC Transition Coordinator, which stands for Oakland Schools Technical Campus. We send students to our Southwest campus and also to the Northeast campus in Pontiac for the cosmetology program. This is a program for our 11th and 12th graders. The technical campus used to be known as a vocational school, but now it's much, much more for students. We also send a lot of our college-bound students to these programs. Another thing I'm responsible for is OOA, which stands for Oakland Opportunity Academy. This is an alternative program for Lakeland students who would like to attend school in the afternoon at Oakland Schools campus in Southwest. Lastly, one of the other job duties I have is the Holiday Assistance Program Fund that goes all year round in the counseling office, and thanks to our staff and to Lakeland families, we've been fortunate enough to provide a holiday or Christmas for over 30 families around the holiday time. We also provide coats in the winter. We provide gas cards for some of our students, food, those types of things. While I'm talking about the Holiday Assistance Fund, I would like to mention that we are having a fundraiser on March 11th in the LGI at 5:30. This is going to be a formal dinner before the Willy Wonka play, and all the proceeds will go to this fund. So please join us, and you can purchase tickets on Pay Schools. Next, I'd like to hand over the microphone to Mr. Doherty.
Hello, I'm Sean Doherty. I'm the counselor for students' last names L through RI. Some of the things that I handle specifically for the counseling department, I handle all of the scholarship information that comes through and advertising that to students. That's something you'll probably be thinking about a little later on in high school, but we do have some specific opportunities for younger students, especially in like the 10th grade. We have some leadership opportunities that I interview students for and select students to go to those different opportunities. I also handle a lot of the information that gets sent out from the counseling department. I handle putting together our Counseling Corner newsletter, which is available on our website. I also maintain our counseling website and post all the new information. And I also update our Facebook page. So we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're not on Twitter, but we have everything else going on. So I also handle, I run a men's group for, specifically for male students. I run it with one of our male social workers that we have in the building. And also, you know, I do have a specific caseload of students that, you know, are considered my students, but, you know, oftentimes being the only male counselor, I may get called in for, you know, a student who wants to talk with a male counselor about specific issues that they may not be comfortable with one of the female counselors talking about. So, so that's perfectly fine. So if you have a male student who's not on my caseload and they have a male-specific issue, they can always come talk to me about it too. And lastly, we have Christina Lindberg.
My caseload is last name R-O through Z, and if you're from Oak Valley, I am not related or married to Scott Lindberg, the principal there. I'm actually married to the Lindberg at Highland Middle School, the principal there. So just in case, hearing my last name. My duties at Lakeland as a counselor, I'm the department chair for our counseling department and student services. I do the articulation tech prep program at Lakeland, and that is classes at Lakeland can count towards our Oakland Community College credits. So areas of business, entrepreneurship, broadcast. We have different classes here that will count towards college credits that we set up as articulations with the OCC, Ferris, and Baker. I also run an SFS mentor program with the 8th grade Skills for Success students. So I will be meeting with some of the 8th graders at the end of this year to match up an 11th grade student with an 8th grade student to give them kind of feel more comfortable at Lakeland when they transition here. And then just what all counselors do, we provide services in the academic, career, and for personal issues. Students can sign up to see us. We have parents that sign up for appointments. They can email us. You can contact us by phoning us. Students do email us too for questions, which is great, or they do call us as well. And we keep connected with parents through our, as Sean had said, our seasonal newsletter. We have a Facebook page that we like to connect with students and parents just to give out information. We also, through our coffee talk shows, as Mrs. Burton had mentioned, we try to give information that way and keep connected with our parents and students. Our goal as counselors is to help your students succeed here at Lakeland High School. So that might be if a student is struggling in class, we would like to set up some type of recovery plan or to help your student succeed in a class. Or if your student wants to apply to college and they need more help with that, we're going to be here to just make sure that the goals that your child has, that we're here to help you with those. Now we have a guest speaker here today. We have Mrs. McMurrin, Kristen McMurrin, and she is a parent, so she would like to give you a little bit of information of a high school student, and also she's our administrator for the 9th and 10th grade students here at Lakeland High School, and she is going to give her perspective from a parent and from the administration.
Good evening. First of all, I need to say congratulations to our counselors for their RAMP award. They worked really hard, and yes, we have the best counseling staff around. I'll tell anybody who'll listen. They're very hardworking, and they'll do a great job for your kids. They asked me to talk about the parent perspective, and it's kind of hard to separate those roles. My daughter is 17, and she is a junior at Walled Lake Central High School, and I guess I was like you. I was really nervous when she started, especially since I'm an administrator, and I know what kids go through, how nervous they are, and they're lost, and they're overwhelmed. And so, you know, from that perspective, I thought that I would be, no problem. I have this, Ken. This is what you need to do. I think I was more nervous than anybody because I didn't want her to have any problems in high school. So what I wanted to know, I had to think back to this. I guess the first thing I wanted to know was, did the school have the curriculum to set my child up for college? And if my child is a special needs child and she does have some needs or she needs some support in certain areas, does the school have that? Where do I find that? And that was probably two of the most important questions I had. The other thing was access to information. How often are you going to communicate what she's doing in class? How do I find that information? What do I do if she's absent? Who do I call? Where do I find her teachers? Do they email? Do they call? So those are the kind of questions that I had as a parent. And also, what were the support systems? Do you have a social worker? Who's her counselor? Will her counselor change? So all those questions, most of those questions are answered for you right here with the 4 people sitting here. Let me start off, and if you'll hear me talk again later with Mr. Mackey, but I think the first question that the students come in and ask is about, are the older kids mean to me? That's their first question. Will I have friends? It's always the social things. Do we get stuffed in our lockers? Those kind of things. So, those questions that we as parents never think about, that's what the kids ask me. So I think that the first thing we emphasize is a caring community, especially at Lakeland. That's our first priority. How do we help kids? How do we help kids with their learning? How do we address their individual learning needs? How do we help them if they have issues like the man issues or any other social issue that they want to come to us with? How do they prepare for college? How are we addressing that learner that is an AP type student? Do we have everything necessary to have that student competitive when they're applying for college? So we're here to answer all those questions for you. We have the answers. We research, we implement the best practices, best programs, and the best strategies possible for your kids. And especially with these guys, they do it constantly. They're constantly talking about it. They're constantly researching it. What technology is out there. And I think we do a good job.
So what we're going to do next, because we really want to hear what concerns you have or what questions you have. I've also got a couple questions here that parents have asked us in the past that I want to go over. So if you guys have a question, I'm going to ask you in a second to raise your hand and just speak up, and we'll address it as best we can. But one thing that I wanted to answer before we did any other questions was, one question I've had from parents is, where do I find the important information I will need to know for my student? The counselors have just finished presenting to your 8th graders at White Lake Middle School and Oak Valley Middle School. It was last week. We went and gave about an hour-long presentation on scheduling for classes for 9th grade year. We also gave them information on what to expect in 9th grade. We gave them a folder, which hopefully they brought home to you. But in case they didn't, or in case they lost it, or forgot it, or just didn't bring it home, everything that we ever hand out to students goes directly onto our website. And we do spend a lot of time making sure our website is up to date and that it has all the information you guys as parents would need to know. If you go to the Lakeland homepage, which is lakelandhs.com, and you click on the counseling tab it's in the upper right corner, we have links on the left-hand side for everything you would want to know about high school. For the students for scheduling for next year, we have a link on scheduling. Click on that and it'll break it up based on grade level and all that, and you'll see all the handouts we gave to your students. So screenshots of how to do their scheduling through Student Access, which is how they can log in, check their grades. They're going to be requesting their classes online. We also post most of the information on our Facebook page as well about upcoming events. We have discussions up there. I would really like to encourage you guys to post questions on our Facebook page. We haven't had too much success with discussions on the Facebook page. I think some of the students are kind of nervous to post something on there, but if you guys ever have questions, that's a great way to get them answered right away. So we've got our website, we have our Facebook page, and then we also have our newsletter, which a lot of information comes out on a seasonal basis. So we'll have a fall, winter, spring, and summer newsletter. The other important way to get information is, if you're not already on it, we do have a listserv for Lakeland High School. It's very easy to sign up for. You just go to the Lakeland homepage again, go to Parent Resources, and there's a link there and a form to fill out to put your email address in and sign up for the Lakeland High School listserv, and you get all sorts of information that way as well. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions for us about 8th grade year, or 9th grade year, and starting high school? Yes?
Okay, Ms. Burton, you mentioned that you handle like IA and AP classes, and my boys will actually fall under your jurisdiction, Mr. Doherty. How do you communicate with each other? You know, is there cross communication between the two counselors, or do they get moved from? I mean, you said that you're hoping that they stay with each other for 4 years.
We are very much a team. Our offices are right together, and we talk. We meet once a week in a department meeting. We actually coordinate also with the rest of the counselors in the district. Every 2 months, all of the counselors in the district get together and coordinate, and then we're constantly talking to one another, in and out of one another's offices all the time. One of your kids came to see me, they wanted to know about this, or you were in a meeting, I took care of this for your child, your student, and I just wanted to make sure. We also keep guidance notes, so if I meet maybe with one of Mr. Doherty or one of Mrs. Lindbergh's students about an AP thing, or they want to know for junior year about dual enrollment, met with so-and-so, and it's right in their names, and very general things, but talked about dual enrollment, they're going to be doing the application. So any of us can go into the notes, see which of our kids are doing which things, and again, it's also the verbal communication. That's an ongoing basis. Very much a team.
And just to add to that, the reason we do have individual duties is because we want to be, we want to have someone who's an expert in that specific area. So Mrs. Burton, she handles our AP and dual enrollment for some of those advanced students who are doing that. So she's able to really focus, make sure she knows everything about AP and dual enrollment. Whereas, I focus on scholarships and financial aid. So I'm constantly getting information on scholarships and financial aid, and I can share that with the other counselors, kind of weed out which ones are good, which ones are scams or things like that. And so it really helps us to deliver the best services to the students. So we may send them to another counselor for their expertise, but we are communicating with each other. So, great question. Any other questions right there?
Can you repeat the questions, because I couldn't hear her question?
Sure.
My question is, can you review about what AP classes are available to 9th graders, the procedure for getting those onto those students?
Okay, so the question was what AP and advanced classes are available to 9th grade students, and how do students go about signing up for those classes for next year. So I'm going to give you want me to do this one? Okay, I'm not the AP expert, but I can handle this question. So the only AP class that students can take in the 9th grade year is the AP Human Geography class. That class is teamed with the Honors English Language Arts 9 class. So if you take the AP class, you have to take the Honors Language Arts as well. So those are 2 of our advanced classes that are offered. We also have the Honors Geometry class. So if your student was in Algebra 1 in 8th grade and was doing very well in there, they may consider applying to the Honors Geometry class. The process for getting into some of those advanced classes, because the students can't just sign up for them like they would another elective class, they actually have to apply for the classes, and they do that by going onto our counseling website under scheduling, or there's also a link to the AP courses as well. But basically they just get their application from our website, or if they're in communication with the teacher who teaches that class, they may have hard copies of the application. But there's just a short application to fill out. Usually it involves getting a teacher recommendation, asking what grades did you have in 8th grade, things like that. Students need to turn in those applications. They can turn it into either their 8th grade counselor and they'll send it to us. They can turn it into us in the counseling office at Lakeland High School, or they can turn it into the teacher who actually teaches the course. So the Lakeland teacher who would be running the course next year. The due date for all of those applications is March 18th. So they still have plenty of time to turn in any of the applications. But those are 3 of the advanced courses that they can take. There are other application courses that a student can sign up for, but those are the advanced academic ones that are available in 9th grade. But as they move forward, there become more and more advanced classes, especially with the AP classes. Really starting in junior year, they start to expand and have more and more opportunities for that. Yeah, we have 14 different AP classes that we teach here. Yes? So, so the question was, they've already had the geometry requirement met. You would still start with, your student's counselor. Basically, I mean, if the student's already covered a class, because we do have some students who have really advanced in some of the classes. They've already had geometry. I think we have a student or 2 who has already done Algebra 2 in 8th grade. So that would just be an individual situation. Just either call or email your student's counselor and we will get you set up in an appropriate class for 9th grade. Yes.
Coming up, and it's in the student packets also as to which dates. Each of us will be in the off the atrium in the virtual lab. There's dates, and we'll be there to meet with our kids and actually help enter schedules, make recommendations. There's 2 sessions each of those nights. If you're coming from outside the district and you want to make an appointment, or if you're within the district and you still have some concerns and want to make an appointment, simply call us or email us, and we will set up those times for you. We do find that having the meetings in the virtual lab gives access to the computers, so we can help your kids get the schedules right in there with recommendations. If we have to change some things that are already entered, that are pre-slugged, then we can do that for you right there.
Okay. It's just about 6:30, so we're going to wrap up in about a minute. There are teachers who have booths. They're in the cafeteria. And the counselors and I will be in the media center up until 7 o'clock. If you guys want to just come and introduce yourselves, if you have a quick question for us. But like Mrs. Burton mentioned, we do have the incoming freshman meetings coming up in a couple of weeks where you can get some more individualized help if you have any questions. So we'll take one more question. Yes, the main session for the expo starts at 7 o'clock back in this room. Any other questions? Yes, reminder, we have coffee and bagels down the media center. So if you don't want to come and meet us, at least come and enjoy the coffee and bagels from Blazing Bagels. So that'll do it for our Coffee Talk show tonight.
Coffee and snacks for tonight's audience were provided by Blazing Bagels. Stop by for a hot cup of freshly brewed coffee in your choice of flavors or grounds. Don't forget to grab one of their New York-style bagels or bagel sandwiches. Blazing Bagels, located on the corner of North Commerce and Wise Roads in Commerce.